really, we're trying to get down to understand the why do you even care about all of this stuff, and understand the client. And then step two is to build out the how do we accomplish these things that you care about. And that's really what the plan does. And then what tools do we use to execute that? That's really the strategy, the investments, the insurance, the annuities. That's all of the product side of things. And so we really just try to explain, like, we focus on building a financial plan first, because that tells us where we should shoot the arrow. Then we can talk about how far and how fast and all of that stuff in the strategy side of things. So I'll share my screen, and I'll start just with our client journey, so you guys kind of understand. We run a generally 3-meeting client onboarding. Depending on the complexity or simplicity of that client, this can be condensed into really 3 meetings that happen basically kind of once a week for 3 weeks, and we're done. We're onboarded and we've done a financial plan. Some folks, depending on how they come into the pipeline, we already may know enough about them that this initial discovery meeting is kind of informal. But this initial planning stuff, this is very, very formal. So I'll kind of take you through some of this, and I'll tell you a little bit about where I started. When I started Prospera, we really leaned into the tech that we were provided, with the exception that I had vetted several financial planning platforms. I had some friends, willing to suffer through going through the financial planning process kind of multiple times on multiple platforms and giving me feedback on what did they like, what did they not like. And again, it was really how easy was it to use and to work with me on. Did you understand the output, right? Because I came from a Money Guide Pro environment, and Money Guide Pro is kind of supposedly the industry Cadillac. But what I found was it would produce the output, but it wasn't in a client friendly way. And so going through all of this, tax management's a big deal for us. It's one of the things we talk a lot with clients about. Those are really difficult concepts to explain to people if there's not a really user-friendly, client-friendly, really. It's not user, I'm the user, but the client-friendly presentation that helps take these concepts and present them in a way that they can really understand it, digest it, and find some confidence around it. So as we take on clients, we start with an initial discovery meeting, an initial planning meeting, and then finally a strategy implementation meeting. And at that point, we're moving assets, bringing them on as clients. But we've done a ton of work ahead of that. We also initially were linking people to a bunch of different systems to try different things and give us different things. So we can't fully eliminate some of that, kicking folks out to third-party platforms. As an example, our risk profile is a third-party platform that we have to kind of put people to. But part of what I wanted to do was minimize the number of websites that a client has to go to. Every time you have to click and it opens up a new website that's a different system, a different company, a different name. One, it's inconvenient. Two, it's clunky and doesn't feel smooth. And three, like, people are worried about clicking links, right? And opening things. And if you don't understand what's opening or what this company is or how it fits in the bigger picture of what we're doing at Prospera, it can feel a little, not only clunky, but maybe even scary in terms of your own personal security and private information. So part of our goal was to take these systems and bring them together on our website so that we could really drive that journey through our website as much as possible. And that's really where PreciseFP comes into the mix. And the other thing I'll kind of clarify for you, I am a nerd, both finance nerd and a bit of a tech nerd, but I am not an IT person, right? I have a little bit of background in that. I can talk enough language that I can connect with IT people, but I'm not a programmer. I do not know how to code. None of what I'm going to show you requires that you're an expert in coding. I didn't do any any custom coding to build any of this. And so, everything that you'll see is really just tools that are available from especially PreciseFP, and we've just used that. So I'll kind of kick off. So we asked folks to do this initial discovery meeting. We've taken a PreciseFP discovery form. It's a template. We've gone into PreciseFP. We have done a little bit of custom branding so that our logo shows up on stuff, so that our colors are represented in there, and so that some of the communication is really in our voice and the voice of Prospera. So when someone comes in, we ask them to do an initial discovery meeting. We ask them to fill out this discovery form. It's directly on our website. So what you're looking at here, you can kind of see the shading. This is a PreciseFP form. We've put our logo, we've put our colors, and we've customized some of the communication. This form is really the initial contact information. We're not asking for private information. There's nothing super detailed in this. We just ask folks, give us a few pieces of information, some basic contact. Are you retired? A few questions here about what some of their basic goals are in the short, medium, and long term. They can add a spouse, a co-client real easy on here. You can see they can just go through and fill out this form. This is using PreciseFP's web published templates and using iframe. And just super quick, I'll kind of pop over so you can see. This is really what it looks like. These are our templates that we use. And then if you click on that template, here's your code that if you're doing like a GoDaddy or something that you're managing your own website, you can pop this in, or your web dev person can pop this in. But this is just provided to you, and that's literally as complex as it gets to make this happen. They just pop that code into the web page. So folks can go through and really just complete this form right on our website. Few super basic questions. Again, no private information. The information is all in ranges. It's not very detailed. So it's not, there's not a lot of hurdles to getting this information. There's not a lot of concern about what they're sharing. And then here's where we kind of have to kick them out to a couple other places where we can't embed things. This Your Story, Your Strategy questionnaire is from FP Pathfinder. And this form, does pop up in a new window. So it does, but it's branded. We've got our logo. All of the communication is very consistent. And so the discovery form helps us gather the client's information in a way that's convenient. And these FP Pathfinder forms help us hone in on what matters to the client. So they just literally go check yes, no on things, go through there and submit that. And we get a copy of that. And all of that information, we're able to push directly into our CRM. So I won't spend a lot of time on that, but as I get into the planning form, I'll kind of continue to talk about that. Our risk assessment's also on an outside website. You can see prosperariskassessment.com. And that one we've not yet been able to figure out how to embed in the website, but give it time and we'll do that too, because if you stay on one website, the experience feels cleaner, it feels smoother. It's not as scary as when you have to pop out to other websites. So
really great. And I have Greg asking, what risk profiling tool are you using?
So Gradient is my RIA, and they've provided that. I can pop out and show you where that goes. But it's the color of money risk analysis is what we use.
Okay.
And then we've got that website branded as well. So when we do have to pop folks out to a separate website, we want them to immediately see the brand so they understand, like, hey, I'm in the right place. This is the folks I'm talking to. So that color of money is the one that we use. And that's provided from our RIA. So there's no custom tech on that one at this point.
Great. And Adam's asking, how does this look on a mobile device?
It's all mobile friendly. Yeah,
okay.
It's all mobile friendly. So our website's mobile friendly. So it'll resize this. Forms inside forms on websites are always a little bit, meh. So that, certainly the experience is better if you're on a computer than if you're on a mobile, but it is all mobile friendly, so it will resize.
Really great. And Steve asks, do the prospects have to set up a password to fill out your form?
Yeah, great question. So this initial form, we don't collect anything private enough to require any kind of security. There's no personally identifiable information. There's no information that's secure. There's no information that's specific enough to require any security, and that's on purpose. We want that first engagement to have as few hurdles as possible. We're just trying to capture some basics so that we know where to guide the conversation and we have at least some understanding of where you sit. So this initial form, no security, no login, no nothing. Anybody can go to the website right now, fill this out, uh, get to the end of it. If they want to upload documents, they can drop them right in here. Um, that's a huge part of where PreciseFP solved some problems for me. Was having a document upload portal, and I'll kind of touch on that maybe here in a minute. But they get to the end of this, if they have not scheduled their call, they can schedule their call. That just goes to my Microsoft booking site. It goes to the one that's specific for this meeting. So we take them straight out to the journey meetings. Oh, I need to fix that. And then when they finish that, it pushes that data into PreciseFP for us, and creates a record in PreciseFP.
Really nice. So
So
theoretically, this could all happen in the middle of the night.
anytime,
Okay.
24/7, anytime. So a
Nice.
lot of our follow up is like, hey, when you're ready, when you feel like you want to have a conversation. No, I'll tell you, I'm a terrible salesperson. I coached salespeople for Farmers Insurance. I led them. I certified them in sales, and I'm a big believer. Sales is a dirty word. I do not believe as an advisor we should be selling anything at all. We should uh, do exactly what we say. We should bring recommendations to the table based on diligence and work. And if we're doing that, there is no sale. It's simply, here's the problem, here's what we think is the best solution, here's why, here's the other solutions we looked at, and here's why we're recommending this one. So I'm very soft in my sales approach. I don't bombard people. I don't try to create a fire and say, oh, you got to have this done by this week or else. I just don't do that, because I've been involved in that for almost 20 years, and I really just I hated it the whole time. And what's been amazing is that my average referral, my average new client is about 6x on average what those were when I was with a big firm with a big name running all of their sales processes the way they want to run them, but running into those meetings a little bit of commission dripping off my breath. So I won't say I'm the most aggressive person out there, but I will say that it tends to be that based on what we're communicating our value and what our process is, that the folks that want to go through that tend to have higher average balances than the folks who are just maybe shopping an advisor to run an account to see if they can beat what they're doing on their own, Robinhood account or whatever that might be. So that's the initial one. Very, very easy. Not a lot of hurdles for clients. Once we get into this second form, this second stage of initial planning, we send them to our planning form. That one is secure. They do have to enter their email address, but that email address is already in the PreciseFP system because they filled out the discovery form, and so we captured name and email at that point. The way that PreciseFP security works, they enter their email on the form, and it will send them a PIN number to that email. They get the PIN number. They use the PIN number to log into the planning form. And from there, they're able to provide us with all of that information that includes personally identifiable and protected information. And it's all behind the PreciseFP security side of things. So we don't capture that information directly into any of our database. I don't hold any data in any database. We keep it inside these systems so that we can really rely on the security that they've built. So I'll jump over to the planning form now and just give you one caveat that to make sure I was prepared for this, we've already loaded information into here. So our client, our prospect, Spider-Man, filled out all of this information, created a prospect record in PreciseFP for us, which we can see right here. We sent Spider-Man the planning form. Spider-Man went in and filled out the planning form and gave us all of their information. So you can see again, this is a PreciseFP form. This particular template is built by PreciseFP, and it's built to integrate to Income Lab. There are forms specific to multiple planning platforms in here. This one is specific to Income Lab. So basically that means PreciseFP has already worked with Income Lab to map all of these fields so that they populate where they're supposed to go. And I don't really have to worry about that. On this form, what I will tell you is we try to meet the client where they're at. We work with clients all over the country. So the vast majority of clients will just go fill this out on their own. They do not need us to walk through it. We do have some older clients that either for whatever reason aren't comfortable doing this or don't want to do it alone. That's fine too. We will simply tell them not a problem. Let's set up a meeting and we'll go fill this out together. We can do this. You tell us what the information is. We will type it in. But when we do that meeting, we do it on this form on our website, and we share that screen with the client so they see it. So we're not doing a phone call and going into a back-end system. We're doing it on our own website so that they, even if we're doing it with them, they're going through the exact same experience that a self-service client or prospect would go through. So we captured this information. You can see we can still scroll up and down the page. That we've got some other resources here, but we've tried to keep this to where if you're at the top of the page, you've got a good amount of the form showing, and you can still click the next button. That may be the hardest part of getting this, is making small adjustments to the size of that, but it's very, very easy to get this in here. So they've filled this out. They've put their life, their 401k values, their taxable values, bank accounts, mortgages, are in here. They put some variable expenses in here for us. And again, there's a place for them to upload documents. So this was a pain point for sure early on. And this is actually the problem that PreciseFP originally solved. I was looking for a secure document upload portal that I could embed into my own website, because the one that my RIA gives is a different website with a different login from every other thing that they're getting into. So I initially started with, what systems can give me the secure document upload? And that led to, okay, well, wait a minute. I can get a portal, or I can really look at these systems that help me capture more than just the documents, but other data. And so started doing some due diligence on some of those options. And that was really the first problem that I was trying to solve with PreciseFP. And so it met my requirement of, does it solve a problem? Yes, I need to get documents from my clients, and I need to do that easy without them having to go create yet another account on yet another website. And so it solved that problem. This financial goals inventory is another FP Pathfinder questionnaire that just digs deeper with more detail into the financial planning side of things. And then, every time, hey, if you have not filled out our color of money assessment, here's a link. If you have not scheduled this meeting yet, here's a link. The other thing I like about PreciseFP is, we can customize this. So we try to really put some communication in here. These are just if you've not yet completed. And then we had a pop-up, hey, only complete these if you need to and you have not scheduled. So we're trying to draw the attention to make sure that they have the opportunity to do these things if they have not yet. But we're trying to communicate to them, hey, some of this stuff you may have already done, don't do it twice, right?
Yeah.
So they go through and they do this, and then they finish that. And again, all of that data just feeds back to their PreciseFP. Whoops. Oh no, I'm going to get kicked out on timing. It just feeds back to their uh, PreciseFP record.
Great. And
Um,
then it sounds like that'll go to Income Lab next.
yeah. So what I wanted to show you super quick was that when we're in PreciseFP and we have Spider-Man pulled up, that populated because he filled out the form. From there, we can push this data to other systems. And so, the second thing we're always trying to solve is how do we operate more efficiently? And again, when I first started, before I had PreciseFP, I would gather all this information in my CRM system. I would gather it in notes, and then I would go out to Income Lab and I would take all those notes and I would basically build the client in Income Lab. And one of the things that I thought about is if I'm going to be doing a financial plan for free, I need to be real efficient at doing that, or else I'm going to build up a lot of labor cost around some of this. And so, kind of problem number two that PreciseFP helps us solve is making us more efficient, right? So cutting down the time it takes us to do something and increasing that. It also makes sure that the data that we feed to our other systems is accurate. There's no typos, there's no missed things, there's no transposed numbers. All of that problem kind of goes away when you do this. So once we have this in PreciseFP, we're able to push this directly over to Redtail. We push that data to Redtail. We pop into Redtail, and there's Spider-Man with all of his information because it populated directly out of PreciseFP. Building this data up in Income Lab, that takes a minute. And so that's the other thing that PreciseFP helped us with. Their integration into Income Lab makes it super easy. So I've kind of teed this up. But when I come into Income Lab, I come in and I click my Import Household button. I can go to my sources. These are all systems that we've linked into Income Lab. So our Redtail's linked, Orion, PreciseFP, and our Schwab accounts are linked. So I can go in there and say, hey, I want to pull data from PreciseFP. I type a last name, and there's Spider-Man. And as you can see, Spider-Man is not currently a household in Income Lab. Once I click this and I import that, it's going to import all of that information that it can find. And basically, it's going to say, hey, not every field was filled out. That is totally normal. I have not yet met a person that filled out every field in a questionnaire. So
Yeah.
don't expect this to come in with, saying like, we got 100% of the fields. That's just not going to happen. It's just telling you that, hey, some information we didn't see on that import. That's not like, hey, you have a problem. That's just, hey, some of the fields that we would bring in, they're empty.
Mhm.
Um, and then it'll give you a little green check mark. Hey, we imported that account, and then we can pop directly into Mr. Spider-Man's account,
Just a nice
and
refresh, and he's there.
that's it. And within about 5 minutes of the client putting their information into PreciseFP, and this is a new Insights tab that they've just rolled out in Income Lab. I really love it. In about 5 minutes from the time that they get done putting that information, we're ready to start having a basic conversation. And what we're confident in is that we got accurate information because it fed in directly from them. So if they said, this is a 401k and it's mine, and here's the balance, it's all there. Just pulls that data straight over. Bank accounts come in, other assets come in, the income comes in, right? He's got his monthly wages for being a hero in here. So we catch all of that. Someone asked, like, well, did he remember who his beneficiary was? And yes, I'm not going to take the time to show you, but we do have the proper characters built in PreciseFP as the beneficiaries as well. So covered on that side. His mortgage comes in, so we can see all that data was fed in. Here's the rate, here's the balance. Same with insurance. He put in his auto, his whole life, his health, his homeowners, and so here it is.
The great client.
Yeah, right. He was very thorough. Spider-Man's very thorough. Uh, and so, this is just, again, like 5 minutes after they get done giving us the information that we're looking for, we
Yeah.
are able to reflect that information back to them exactly as they gave it to us and begin a conversation. Let's start talking about some of these things. And so, speed, the efficiency of our operation there, I just don't think I could really feel confident saying we're going to build a financial plan before we even bother with your assets if I wasn't able to make it really efficient for us to do this. Because as you spend a lot of time just getting to the point that you've got all the data in all the right places and it's all accurate. And then so we've really eliminated a lot of that part of the process. And when we get started, we're digging directly into what are the topics they told us they care about, what are we seeing on this data that ties back to that, and then we can just start building things out. So that might be just starting to put notes in here, building out to-dos, adding additional goals. And that first conversation with them then is super focused on them and what they care about. And it's not a lot of, okay, let's set an hour meeting so I can ask you your name and how to spell it, and then you can tell me, and then
Yeah.
you can watch me type it. you
Yeah.
know and it's kind of funny. I tell folks, if it's really clear they're not tech, fine. But you don't have to be a techie to accomplish this stuff. You don't have to be a tech. Whoops, you don't have to be a techie to fill out this form. It's
Mhm.
very, very straightforward, very simple. So I tell folks, you can pay me for my time in whatever way you prefer. You can pay me to take down the information, or you can pay me to do the real work. We're happy to do whatever you want. And everybody goes, yeah, I don't really want to sit here and tell you my name and watch you type it. Like almost everyone says, I will do that myself.
Oh,
It's
nice.
just easier. It's more comfortable for them when they're at home. You're not asking them about something that they don't actually know. So they've got to jump in and look it up, and they're in a panic sitting across your desk trying to figure out the answer to this question. So we found it just kind of smooths that out. There are no typos, there are no mistakes. What they gave us is what we reflect back to them, with basically 100% accuracy. So if there is an error, it was their error on input. No big deal. We can fix that. But what we don't have is like, oh, hey, I told you that account had 299,000 and you've got it at 209,000. Like we just don't have that problem. So
Mhm.
the client experience is smooth. It's in one website. It's convenient. It meets them where they're at. Uh, it makes our operation efficient, and it eliminates the opportunity for errors that come from repetitive data entry. So, this has been like game changing for me to feel confident going out and saying, you don't become a client, you don't make any commitments until you've already seen what is our plan and how are we going to execute that.
Yeah, everyone's very curious. They heard free plans. How are you determining the pricing for plans? Or is it set for all, or is it free?
So I've got a pricing spreadsheet that I've built that I put some information in for clients, and basically we go down through this and we do this process, and then when we come in and do the review with them and make the recommendations on strategy, we'll simply go through and talk to them about, here's the price for assets that we directly manage, and we roll all of our financial planning directly into that. And then if there are accounts that you're going to continue to hold elsewhere, but you want us to advise on them as part of your financial plan, then there's a planning only fee. So we kind of break it out and say, okay, here's the amount of taxable and retirement accounts that we're managing, and here's how that's charged, and that does include the planning piece. And then here are the planning only assets, and that spreadsheet then comes down to, here's the blended price that we're going to the blended AUM price to cover all of that. So we try to keep it pretty straightforward and simple. What I found is, For me at least, I know some people are hardcore about, we're going to charge for that financial plan up front. But I'll tell you, I left my firm because they went to a 1.5 1,500 minimum. And I just said, how can you tell people that your focus is getting them a financial plan so you can make the right decisions around product if you won't do the financial plan until they've bought product? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I really truly lead with financial planning. And the interesting thing about that, in my first year as an independent, following this process and forcing people to either go through this or not be a client, it's very, very much a mindset coming from 15 years of quotas to say no to money because they don't want to do this process. But my average client's about 6 times in asset value what they were, and I did more life and annuity business in 2025 than I've ever done in my entire career. And I credit that to Income Lab's ability to take the concepts that we talk about and put them in someone's face in a way that they can actually understand it. This There's a lot of things that are powerful in Income Lab. The tax screen is incredibly powerful because it takes the concept of tax management and turns it into something people can really easily understand. But if I were to pick one thing in Income Lab that's made the most difference, it's being able to show someone cash flows in a picture that they can understand instead of a grid work of a spreadsheet that makes 95% of people glaze over. This this right here is magic in terms of trying to help people understand where the money comes from and where the money goes. Magic. The tax lab piece is probably just as magical in helping people understand the concept of tax bracket management, the impact of IRMA brackets, what that means overall for your tax rate, your income, your legacy. And it's super easy. You don't understand any of this, we're looking for dark green. Literally that easy. We're looking for dark green. And then we can really dive into this, but it really, really helps people to grasp these really complicated financial planning concepts. And so we just don't, the fear in my last firm was we don't want to do all that upfront work and then not get paid for it and they decide to go somewhere else. My experience has been nobody else is doing this for them. And so when they do get to the end, it's very clear that we're not making a sales pitch for the investment strategy. We're not making a sales pitch for this life insurance. We're not making a sales pitch for this annuity. It's all tied back to how does that impact your outcomes. And I think that, for me, makes it worthwhile to say, I'm not going to try to charge for the planning. I'm going to make sure that we have a plan to execute on. And it for me eliminates a lot of that salesy kind of back and forth. And so, I like to tell people, like, you can go around to 10 advisors, you'll get 10 opinions.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is that most advisors are salespeople and you need to hire a strategist. So whether it's me or whether it's someone else, hire strategy, don't hire sales.
Really
And
great. And Justin, what's going on with AI and Income Lab? What's new in Income Lab with the AI features?
That's a great question. Yeah. So there's been a lot of action in the AI world for advisors in general, right? And what we've done is continue to try to deliver experiences like Chad was just going through. But if let's say a client comes to you and has, a plan from some other planning software or, something like that, could be your notes from a meeting, could be a Zoom transcript. You now can also create a plan with anything, any of that sort. I joke you could take notes on a napkin, take a picture, upload it, and you'll get the plan in there. So we're trying to, like, I love seeing this process, Chad, and I just love that you can, like, basically wake up in the morning and have new plans built in Income Lab and you didn't even touch them. That's the kind of experience we want because we know advisors really with with this kind of planning, you have so much value to add to a client. I think we talked about this the other day, Chad, maybe just this. Hey, let's talk about what your life could look like. What are you eligible for given your resources? What's a good life for you? That's a totally different conversation than they've ever heard from anybody else. So we want to speed up the time to you having that conversation and not have it spent, looking for little white boxes on the screen to type characters into. So that's a big part. And we're working on some really other exciting stuff that we'll be announcing in a couple weeks. So yeah, stay tuned for sure.
Really great. And David asked, is it Canada friendly? Is Income Lab Canada friendly?
I mean, we're very friendly to Canada. Uh, you know, the big things that, yeah, certainly we have people who, look at Income Lab and they say, would this scale to some other country? What you'll find is because the taxes are all US taxes, we don't have a Canadian tax model, and the asset classes are heavily tilted toward US investors. That doesn't mean there's not international. So those would be the things you'd find where you're kind of like having to do, maybe you're making everything a Roth IRA just so you can get rid of all the tax stuff or,
Mm.
that kind of thing. So no, I wouldn't say it's like purpose built for Canada.
Will wants to know, with Income Labs, can you import holdings from statements that clients give you for their outside assets?
You can, and actually that will get better very soon as well. So we're building up some more kind of holdings level and analytics and things like that with way to just upload a statement and boom, get all the ticker symbols and holdings and all that, and then see, roll it up to the portfolio level from the account level, stuff like that. So not that's not available yet, but within about a month and a half, I think you'll be able to do that.
Really great. And Chad, just a follow up, John wants to know, you create a free plan up front, then charge a planning fee based on their assets that you manage?
Yeah, we basically, if you want anything beyond that initial deliverable, then you're going to pay, and
Okay.
you can either pay that through an asset-based fee where we're managing your assets, and if we're managing those assets, planning is included in that. I
And
was just
tax planning too?
Yeah, we do all of it because
Okay.
it's what do you like? For me, it's not like I just find that I don't want to charge for the tool that drives the real revenue. You know what I mean? Like as an example, I did an income lab with a gentleman that did pretty well on a sale of a business, and he says, "Hey, I think I'm going to buy this house," and so we created three different scenarios in income lab, which is really super easy to do. I didn't get into that. We're going to run out of time, so I won't get into that. But we created three scenarios, and we basically said, "Here's baseline." Right? Baseline is you sell your house currently, you move to this other house that's at altitude, and in 10 years you sell that house and you go buy another one at low altitude. That is an option, and that was kind of baseline plan for him. And then he says, but I really would prefer not to sell my house. Can I afford to do this if I don't sell my house? I know I'm going back to it in 10 years. I know I can't live in the mountains after about 80ish. So what other ways could we tackle this? So we literally just made a copy of his plan and then called it, what if two houses, whatever we named it. And then we just tweaked that to say, okay, what if we keep the house in Florida and pull money out of the portfolios to buy the house in Colorado? What does that do to us long term? And then I said to him, are you open to some different ideas? And one of the things that we promote to our folks is infinite banking. It's really liquidity management inside life insurance programs. So we created, and he says, yeah, I'm open to it. Explain it. So we had a meeting and I explained how this works. And he says, what would this do? And so I just simply pulled up the scenario in Income Lab where we still pull the money out of the retirement accounts and keep the house in Florida. But instead of directly buying the house, we flowed that money through a MEC policy, pull the money right back out, and use the life insurance cash value alone against the life insurance cash value to buy the house, knowing that we only need that money for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, we modeled selling the house, repaying the life insurance. It was a $3 million increase in his legacy. So 1.2 million whole life policy sold. So do I care about charging them $1,000 for this plan? Not a bit.
Really nice. And do you have a separate tax planning software or you're using Income Lab?
We generally use Income Lab. I own another company that has an outsourced CFO, and so I've got controllers and auditors that work for me. So they handle. I'm not a tax planner. My tax planning really is what Income Lab is capable of, and then my accounting team will step in if they need more advanced tax planning that's really truly, IRS rules, GAAP rules. We pretty much focus around tax bracket management structures,
Mm.
and estate tax management structures, but we really draw the line at we're not CPAs, but we have a team that we can have you engage with for that if you don't already have your own team.
Really great. And Mike wants to know, do you use PreciseFP for client review meetings? Have the client update their client
Great
information?
idea. Yeah, great question. Yeah. One of my other favorite things about all of this. I also use Zox. That's what records all of my meetings. It's an AI. So PreciseFP integrates back to Zox. So no different than in Income Lab. If I have nothing and I can just upload some stuff, their AI will kind of find this information. The Zox integration back to PreciseFP will also listen for new accounts, issues, things. I push that data out of Zox into PreciseFP, and from PreciseFP back into Income Lab to do any updates that came from that client meeting. We also, ahead of a client meeting, we send the client an email that says, hey, thanks for scheduling. Please go online and review your information. And we send them back to a PreciseFP login that's embedded on our website. It's a private link. So if you go to our website from the public side, you cannot find that page, but it exists hidden in the background. So when a client is preparing for a review meeting, we ask them to review that information, correct anything that we are missing or needs updated. And then when they do that, PreciseFP notifies us. We can push that information to Redtail and to Income Lab and update those systems so that, again, like we only get a couple real hours a year with these folks to dig into these things. Maybe 2 to 4 hours a year is generally what you're in front of this client with their full attention. And so we want all of that time to be super focused on them, their goals, their plan, and the outcome, and minimize the administrative side of this. And I will tell you, my kind of more OCD, my engineers, those kind of folks, they do their updates. Other folks really don't. That's okay too. We're meeting the client where they're at. So we do send that out. It is part of that, both ahead of the meeting update process and on the back end, updating that information is all through this kind of loop of all these systems that are tied together.
And all through your website. I love that, the
All of
website
them.
aspect.
Yep.
Really great. Yes, someone did ask, does a typical client know all the info to fill out the forms?
Nope. And that's great. Because that it really that's where I think the other piece of this tech stack, which is the planning questionnaires that are real yes no super simple. I think that's part of what helps this, because we can say, hey, now you mentioned that one of your concerns was running out of money, and we see in here you've got a 401k, you're 55, but it's all in the market, and so let's have a conversation about the risks of having all of your money. We kind of bucket these things in red, yellow, green to help people simplify this. So, hey, if all of our money is in red, let's talk about what that can mean, and let's talk about maybe places to go. So, no, they definitely don't fill it all out. They miss
Yeah.
stuff. They'll sometimes get things wrong. You have to correct that a little bit when you get a statement.
Yeah.
But it's driving that conversation, and it's making sure that from the first moment we connect and communicate, it's all about them. Um,
And
so
who's your
not
website
perfect.
vendor? Someone once asked if it's FMG.
I built it.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
There we go.
So everything you look at, I built. I didn't hire anybody to build anything. I did all my own due diligence. I connected the tech stack. I built the website.
Oh, right
But I
on.
don't know coding. I don't know coding. I'm just
Yeah.
using, easy template stuff. All of the content was me. But the building of the website, it's just a GoDaddy. And I used the GoDaddy tool to build it. So super, super easy stuff.
Right on. Well, I always love talking to you, Chad. I love all of the seamless process that you set up, the high level of customer service you're providing, and just being able to match other industries and how they're doing things, is really refreshing to see. I know a lot of our audience members are so very appreciative. Greg says, thank you for all your time and information. It
Yeah.
was very informative. Lenny says, nice. Jason said he's using most of your tools, and it's so
Awesome.
nice
Yeah.
to hear this and how they integrate. So thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, happy to help. Like I said, that I'm just an advisor trying to figure out how to make this business work the best I can, just like everybody else. And happy to share kind of the things that I've found that have, there's no secret key to success in this business. You got to grind every day, and the hustle and the grind every single day. But
Yeah.
the getting the right tech partners turns the day from frustrating and very administrative focused to like I'm making progress and I'm doing the work that matters. And I think that seems to be showing through on and resonating with clients as well. So I'm super grateful to have found PreciseFP. I'm super grateful for what Income Lab has built. I think these things together have just helped me create Prospera in a way that I think just scales very different than what we were doing under the flag of a big corporate broker dealer.
I love that. Thank you so much. And Justin, thank you so much for joining us as well. If you have any questions, feel free to go to Income Lab's website or go to PreciseFP. And even Chad, I'm sure, is happy to help if you have any specific questions as well. But otherwise, thank you all so much for your time today and have a great rest of the day, everyone. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you guys.